Hey guys, so today I'm back with another monthly TBR video. So these are all the books I want to read in June, which is insane how we're literally halfway through the year now. I swear it was literally just January, but it's fine. I think I have 6 physical books and then 3 ebooks. So let's just get started. So the first 2 books I want to read are Blue Lily, Lily Blue and The Raven King, and these are the 3rd and 4th book in the Raven cycle. They're actually like rereads. I actually have a few rereads on this list, but I've been like rereading this whole series for the first time since like middle school, and it's been really fun. These are the last 2 books in the series, and then there's also a spin-off series I believe, but I really want to just try and like finish this series this month. This series follows Blue, and Blue's like whole family are psychics, and she's basically been told since she was like young that I'm pretty sure it's like the first boy she ever like kisses will die. It's kind of like super against like love and all that kind of stuff, because obviously she doesn't want to kill anyone. She can also like see ghosts and stuff, I think. And in this like town where she's from, there's this like rich like private school where all these like rich boys go to, and Blue, she like hates all the boys at this school. But however, one day she kind of like befriends this group of boys from there, and like the leader I guess of this group of boys, Gansey, he's like obsessed with like, I think it's like Arthurian legends and stuff, and they kind of like investigate all of that stuff together, and it's got like found family, it's got like romance subplot. It's just a great series, so I'm very excited to pick up these 2 and give them a reread. Hopefully they're just as good as the first time. I'll also just quickly do the other reread I want to do first. So I want to reread Once Upon a Broken Heart by Stephanie Garber, because here's the thing, the paperback for the 2nd book is coming out later in June I believe. I have it pre-ordered, I'm not sure the exact date, but I'm pretty sure it's in June. And I'm usually quite good at remembering books, like I'm not one to reread books that often, especially if it's like just for the purpose of the sequel, because I usually remember them. But I read this book for the first time on like a flight at like 4 a.m. running on like 0 hours of sleep, so I was slightly delusional and delirious when I was reading this, so I have like no memory of like most of this book. I remember enjoying it. I gave it a 4.5 stars, but I don't actually remember what happens. I remember like the one scene with like vampires, and that's it. Like I remember more of Caraval than this, and I read Caraval like ages ago compared to when I read this. So I'm gonna do a reread, and I'm also excited to give it a reread because I feel like this series has gotten a lot of like hype in the past few months, so I'm interested to reread it now with all like the extra hype it's gotten. So I will obviously probably be reading the sequel either this month or next month. I'm very excited for that because I've heard amazing things about that one. However, I'm scared for the ending. This is like a spin-off series. It's going to be a trilogy to the Caraval trilogy. A lot of people say you don't have to read the Caraval trilogy to read and enjoy this, and I would say while you don't, I would highly recommend it, because essentially all of Jax's backstory is in Caraval. And I'm like, how are you guys saying you love Jax when you haven't even read his backstory? This, we follow Evangeline, and she is like in love with someone, but she learns that the person she's like in love with is about to marry. I'm pretty sure it's like her stepsister or something. So she makes a deal with the Prince of Hearts, who is Jax, to stop like the wedding and stuff like that. He agrees, but he asks for free kisses in return. Now here's the thing about Jax, his kisses like kill anyone who kisses them apart from his true love. This is why you need to read Caraval to understand the backstory of that. Next, the book that's probably going to take up the bulk of my reading for this month, that is A Day of Full Night by Samantha Shannon. I'm finally doing it. I do have the gorgeous broken binding edition. This is like my most prized possession. I'm yet to read either Priory or this, obviously. And I'm pretty sure I've heard from the author that it's recommended you read this one first since it's came out. So that's what I'm going to do, because it takes place chronologically before Priory, even though it was released later. Obviously this book is huge. It's around about 860 pages, I want to say. It's 868, and this is probably one of the most intimidating books I will ever pick up, because this is like high fantasy, incredibly long, I'm pretty sure it has like 10 pages of character names. Let me check that actually. It literally has 14 pages of character names and like 3 pages of like maps. It's insane, and I've never read any like super like epic high fantasy like this. I am incredibly excited, and also I thought, it's June, it's Pride Month, what better month to read this absolute beast of a book than this month. I literally know nothing about like this book or Priory except that it's sapphic and involves dragons and it's high fantasy, and to be honest, I don't really want to know much. I feel like this is one of those books that will be better going into knowing absolutely nothing, and I am just so excited to just get into this book and this series. Hopefully I'll end up loving it. I'll be incredibly sad if I don't. The next book I would like to get to this month is Under the Whispering Door by TJ Klune. All I know is it like follows this guy who like dies, and I think it's like him in like the crossing to the afterlife or something, and I'm sure like the House in Australian Sea there'll also be a little bit of a subplot of romance. That's the vibes I'm getting from the blurb, which I just love. The House in Australian Sea literally just made me feel so warm and cozy, and just it was so great, and I'm very excited for this, and hopefully it makes me feel the same way. Like, just the vibes of that book were just immaculate. I've heard like this one is not as good, but I'm still very excited for it. So yeah, that is Under the Whispering Door by TJ Klune. And then the last physical book is If You Still Recognize Me by Cynthia So. This is a book I literally know nothing about. I just saw it in a secondhand bookstore and I was like, the cover is gorgeous, and I think I'd seen it on TikTok, so I may as well get it. It was like £3. I didn't actually know it was sapphic, and then I like read the blurb and it's sapphic, so I was like, of course I have to get that. So I think this is about this girl, and she kind of has this long distance friend who she's kind of like in love with, and she's basically like gonna tell her friend that she's like in love with her, but then her like old best friend walks back into her life or something. I just feel like it's gonna be like a cute coming of age YA romance kind of vibe. I don't know if that's actually what it's gonna be like. Don't quote me on that. It's kind of giving like love triangle, but it's also potentially giving, you know, the trope where you like fall in love with someone like anonymously online, but then they're actually falling in love with them in like real life as well, or they hate them in real life. That is what it's given, potentially. I may be wrong. Imagine if that's like supposed to be a big plot twist and I just worked out from the blurb. I'll be very disappointed. I've actually been working out the plot twists of so many books recently before they happen, and it is so disappointing. Anyway, that's that. Those are the physical books I would like to get to, all 5 of them. Now onto some ebooks. So first of all, I would like to get to 7 Days in June by Tia Williams. I have purposely been saving this book. I've wanted to read it for the longest time, but I've been saving it for June because, you know, 7 Days in June, you have to read it in June, obviously. All I know about this is I think it's about these 2 authors who fell in love, well, like they had a week together in June and they got like super close, they had a little bit of a fling, and now it's like a certain amount of time later. I think it's at like a book convention or something because they're both authors, or like a book event or something like that, and they see each other again, and basically all the years since they had those like 7 days, they've been like writing to each other in their books, and they kind of, I think, spark up their like connection again, and it goes on from there. I've heard it's just a super like emotional read, and I'm very excited to get to it. The next book I would like to get to is The Ashes and the Starcursed King. So this is the second book in the Seven and the Wings of Night series. It's like gonna be a 6-book series, but it's like 3 duologies throughout. So I recently read the first one and I loved it. I gave it a 4.75 stars. It wasn't quite a 5 stars, but it was very close. But I really want to read the second one, but I don't think I'm gonna have time to do it this month, so I'm gonna put it on my June TBR. So this series we follow Oriya, I think that's her name, I may be remembering wrong. Now Araya, she is like a human, and this world she lives in is basically like ruled by vampires. When Araya was like young, her like whole like family was like murdered, and like the king of the vampires like took her in and raised her as like his own. In this world, every I think 200 years there's this like competition, kind of Hunger Games-esque vibe thing, where loads of like vampires basically compete for this wish from Nyxia. I could be saying that wrong. I really don't know how you pronounce these fantasy names. Now Nyxia, she's like the mother of vampires, and she will grant you a wish, like anything you want. So Araya, she enters into the competition, and she's like a human, so she's kind of very much underestimated. She's like the underdog. However, when she's in the competition, she forms a bit of an alliance with this guy. This little brooding, powerful guy. You get the vibe of what's gonna happen from that. So they're like rivals, but the thing is, to win this competition, you basically, no one leaves alive. So, you know, you've got like a meant to kill you kind of trope. All of my favorites. I love a good angsty, forbidden, meant to kill you, enemies or rivals to lovers romance. We have some like betrayal. It's just so good. I'm very excited to read the second one. I can't remember if people have like said if it's like better or worse, but I'm still very excited to get to it, and I'm excited to see what's gonna happen. Hopefully it is just as good, if not better, than the first one. The last book I would like to read in June is Our Wives Under the Sea by Julia Armfield. This book was in so many people's like 2022 favorites videos at the end of last year, and I've wanted to read it so bad. I've just not got into it yet. It also, because it has like water, kind of gives me summer vibes, so I've been waiting until summer, although I don't know if it is like a summery book, because from the like description it's giving kind of like dark, not nice energy. I believe this is a sapphic horror book, and basically what happens is this group of people, they go like in this submarine mission under the sea. However, something happens and I think they end up getting stuck down there for longer than they were supposed to. And one of the people who were on this submarine was our main character's wives. So when the submarine comes back up, her wife is not quite the same, and she's kind of acting a bit weird, and our main character, she doesn't really know what to do. She's very obviously worried about her wife, and I think it's kind of a horror. Some weird stuff might start happening. Yeah, I can't wait to read it. I love me a good sapphic horror, so hopefully this is really good. So that is it for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed this. I hope you guys had a good time, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye!